the run-up to the Oprah Winfrey interview, which will be broadcast here on Monday, on International Women's Day. But it reveals claims about Meghan bullying members of her own staff. Now, Chris Shipp, this is obviously a fight back from royal aides concerned about what she may say about them, about the palace, in the interview. But on its own, it's extremely serious, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Good morning, and sorry to gatecrash your party again at this time in the morning.
Always
but the royal
welcome,
news
Mr. Shipp.
keeps on coming this week. Look, this is a Times story. It's not mine. Let's be clear. But I know the journalist who wrote it, Valentine Low, very well. He is, hugely respected. And actually, in the short amount of time between the story coming out at about sort of 10:15 last night and now, I've been in touch with both sides. What's interesting is neither side is denying the existence of this bullying complaint, and therefore you have to assume that it is true. And as you say, that's very serious indeed. We've got a bullying complaint that's been handed to the head of HR in the royal household about someone who was, at the time at least, a very senior member of the royal family. Meghan was married to the sixth in line to the throne. And, this is very serious indeed. But one other thing that I've learned is that whilst this bullying claim was submitted by their then chief communications officer, the head of comms at Kensington Palace, the staff involved didn't know that had been submitted. And when they found out, they asked for it to be rescinded. So we've got quite a difficult story here about a bullying complaint. And yet the staff involved, it appears, or so I'm told, didn't even know.
Well, the implication, though, Chris Shipp, is that this was somehow sort of suppressed and tucked under the carpet to avoid any embarrassment for a senior royal. Only yesterday, Archewell, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's foundation, released a press release about International Women's Day coming on Monday. This month, let's unleash a groundswell of real acts of compassion for the women in your life, and gave us all instructions about supporting women, supporting safe spaces for women. The most damaging part of this Times story, well, there are two strands to it, actually. I'll come to the second in a moment. But the most damaging is that two young female personal assistants were driven out of the palace as a direct result, it alleges, of Meghan Markle's bullying. And a third young female aide was also subjected to a form of bullying. But that's three young women. And these are serious allegations. There seems to also be a suggestion there were NDAs, non-disclosure agreements set up, preventing them from speaking about this. Now, there's no suggestion that Meghan Markle ordered that, but surely if she's going to be the standard bearer for how women are treated in life, and she believes in women having their voice, isn't the right thing to do for the NDAs to be removed and for the young female PAs that were driven out of the palace to have their say? Isn't that what Meghan Markle stands for?
I don't think NDAs are unusual. I mean, a lot of people sign these. In fact, more and more people are signing these days when they leave a place of employment. Look, I think the claim itself is very
damaging. Chris, on that, just to jump in, after the Harvey Weinstein scandal and everything, a lot of these NDAs got torn up because it was deemed to be a suppression of women having their voice and having their stories. And so I just think that is a significant part of this story, that these two young female PAs who apparently were bullied out of the palace have been effectively gagged from talking about it if it's true they've signed the NDAs. And I don't think that sits very well with Meghan Markle's constant refrain that she herself had her voice silenced, as we see in the Oprah Winfrey tease. I mean, you can't have it both ways, can you?
Yeah, and you talk about the Oprah Winfrey thing. It's quite clear that there are some royal aides who have decided that with the Oprah Winfrey interview coming up on Sunday on CBS, and we still don't yet know because ITV have yet to confirm whether or not it's being aired here on the Monday, that they've decided to get in a different narrative, concerned as they might be, what Meghan is going to say to Oprah Winfrey about her time in the royal family on Sunday. So the timing is as important, I think, here. But given everything that Meghan says about supporting women, and you mentioned International Women's Day coming up, then this is a hugely damaging claim that she was bullying.
Well, Andrew Piers, it's not the only claim in there. There's also a claim that she twice wore chandelier diamond earrings, which must be, looking at them, worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, which were worn 3 weeks after the appalling murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, which we now know was at the direct direction of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. It turns out that these earrings, which she said at the time to the press, told her team to say they were borrowed. In fact, they were gifted directly to her as a wedding gift by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And this, she wore them 3 weeks after the death of Khashoggi, when it was a global international story. I mean, that, again, very damaging and frankly, shamefully hypocritical for someone who constantly rails against women's rights, isn't it?
Yeah, and it wasn't as if it was a secret or a surprise that the Crown Prince was in the frame for the murder of Khashoggi. It was widely reported that hit was ordered by the Saudi Arabian monarchy in the form of the Crown Prince. And the fact that she told her aides to say the earrings, which were spotted, people like Chris Shipp would have seen what she was wearing, thought, my God, where did they come from? They obviously cost a fortune. The fact she told her aides to say they were borrowed suggests she knew how badly it would play in public if people knew they'd been given to her by a man accused of murdering a journalist and having his body chopped to pieces in a Saudi embassy.
Well,
a horrific murder.
I mean, the claim
she knew all about it, and she wore the earrings.
I mean, even if the claim is that she wasn't aware of that, the fact of the matter is she had campaigned for women's human rights in that country, in Saudi Arabia, and therefore, that might feel a bit awkward that she's then wearing the earrings.
You think?
Which are given to her as a gift by
wearing $1 million earrings gifted to you by a murderer?
Kevin, I want to talk to you about the fact that this is clearly a fight back by royal aides. You know, this huge interview is going to be worldwide. All of these complaints and criticisms about how they were treated, how they were covered, is going to be broadcast around the world. And clearly there are people within the palace who want to have their say. They are not taking this lying down. I mean, the fact of the matter is that if you fire shots, you're going to have shots fired back, aren't you? This is a big fight they've picked. Now, I will defend their right to speak out. I'll defend their right to resist what they think is toxic coverage.
Do you defend her right to bully young female PAs?
But the fact of the matter is, I've always said everybody who is high profile should be, you know, of course, subject to legitimate criticism. But this is turning very nasty.
It is, you're right, Susanna, but if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. And there's always two sides to a story. She, they, Meghan, Harry paint themselves as just the victims, but even I'd picked up at the height of their popularity, before and just after the wedding, that she was something, she was awkward, put it that way, in Kensington Palace, and staff didn't like her behaviour, felt she was very haughty, domineering. I didn't know it went this far, the bullying allegation, but it's going to come out. But no, you're not going to expect the palace or any institution not to reply. And the case of the earrings, for instance, you mentioned there, Susanna, it is possible she didn't know they were from Mohammed bin Salman. I'll be surprised if she wasn't aware of the allegations that he had orchestrated the murder, the brutal murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. I'd be surprised at that. But it's at the very least embarrassing, and it may be that rather than hypocritical.
She knew where they were from. They were a gift from the Crown Prince of Saudi at the wedding.
Come on, they get so many gifts. It is possible.
I just think we should
stop that. The Times doesn't state she says that.
But on that particular issue, I think a lot of people, whatever you think about Meghan and Harry and the royals or whatever, you would think that why would you accept a gift from a country which hasn't, you know, questions to answer about its human rights?